Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for our first panel discussion of the day with the theme of New Age Marketing and Customer Experience. Let me first introduce you to our moderator, Ms. Deepali Naair. She is the Chief Marketing Officer, India and South Asia from IBM. And for the panel, we have Mr. Tarun Sharma. He is the CEO from mCaffeine. Then we have Mr. Sunder Madakshira. He is the Head of Marketing, Adobe India. Next, we have Mr. Manan Bajoria. He's the AVP Growth and Marketing from Ixigo. And finally, we have Ms. Renu Basu. She's the Senior Vice President Global Sales and Marketing from IHCL. Welcome, everyone. Over to you, Ms. Naair.
Good morning and thank you, Shivani. I just want to say that I have very, very brilliant panelists on the panel discussion today. And I want to get on to, listening to them and what they have to say and what they have to share. However, I think for the audience, there are two things that they need to keep in mind. When it comes to new age marketing, I think data-driven marketing is the way to go. We're all very familiar with concepts such as brand marketing and marketing communication. But I think the new age things that we're talking about these days is MarTech. We're talking influencer marketing. We're talking data-driven marketing. We're talking performance marketing. So I'm hoping that that's what panelists bring to the table. And the second part, customer experience. I think we all always knew that customer experience was the key to delivering marketing KPIs. But I think in the last few months of COVID, it has become even more important and has got accelerated and has got the attention of the board, the CEO, the CIOs. So therefore, marketing folks, let's just start this discussion. And my first question of the day is for Sunder, who is the head of marketing at Adobe. Sundar, you've been the Adobe CMO and you're at the forefront of therefore, knowing the new frontiers in MarTech. So therefore, I want you to tell us what are some of the 2 to 3 new global trends to watch out for audiences in India.
Thank you, Deepali, and thanks to everyone on the panel, as well as very good morning to all of you who are listening in. To me, I think if I want to summarize, there are broadly 3 items that we look at it. Number one is that there is a proliferation of MarTech tools, right? So there's an organization which actually tracks how many market technology tools that exist. And that has grown by more than 10 times in the last 5 years. So today we have 8,000 MarTech solutions that are there in the market, which is probably also reflective of the fact that there is a fear of missing out in terms of trying to cover everything that a marketer today aspires for. So the first trend that I'd like to talk about here is the amalgamation of the topic of marketing as well as customer experience. So the title of this session is Marketing and Customer Experience. But the way I look at it is going forward, if we were to do this panel discussion next year, I think it won't be separated out as 2 topics. So we're seeing an amalgamation of what marketing is supposed to do and achieve a higher customer experience. And it's a blended topic that is sort of coming up. The second thing which is there from a MarTech perspective is that we are seeing voice becoming much more prevalent than text. And it is predicted that the search engine will get much more active on the voice. And in the next 3 years, voice search engine will actually overtake what text is, which is a big trend again. The third thing is the omnipresence of AI as a topic, whether marketers are doing it consciously or otherwise. This is a topic, like my person who heads our solution consulting team said it very well. It's like salt in food. It's there everywhere, nobody can see it. But if it's not there, you will make out it's not there. And if it's there in excess, again, you will make out. But if you look at marketing and the adoption of AI, we're seeing a very high proliferation of artificial intelligence, which is again leading us to a marketer's dream, which is personalized and data-driven approach. So I think these are the broad trends that we are seeing. Coming to India, Indian companies are at the forefront of adoption. They're creating a lot of opportunities themselves. They're creating a lot of technology themselves, partnering with companies which are and looking at them as strategic partners. That's a big shift that we're seeing. that instead of trying to do everything themselves, they're looking at other people who can give them that cutting edge in a short period of time and looking for enterprise level solutions. That's the change that we are looking. There are a few other trends, of course. I'll wait for the other participants to chime in and add to that. Thanks, Deepan.
Thank you, Sunder. Wonderful that you use that analogy of AI being salt in food. And yes, I think at IBM also we believe that responsible tech, responsible AI, is an extremely important part of ensuring that not just marketing but enterprises deliver. And I think to the marketers, you would agree with me that I think they need to look for faster responses through AI to all the marketing programs that they're running. And I think speed and in real time, as we call it, is a reality that AI will make happen for them. Let me move to Renu with this. And Renu, Sundar and I come from technology companies, and we spoke about futuristic stuff and voice becoming a reality. Sundar mentioned very rightfully so. But I think, and I want you to bring in the practical lens of the last few months. The hotel and travel segment has been really hit badly. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we'll all agree. But I want to understand that you guys have pivoted very fast, and please tell us what are those pivots and what is the process you used internally to pivot fast. And of course the role that technology has played in that.
So thank you, Deepali, for having me on this session. And I couldn't agree better that, voice is very important. And we've been, it's a trifecta really, all data, voice, and technology to get to people. And on your question, yes, it is a well-known fact that many businesses have been impacted, including the travel and tourism, a little more than the others, because we are very dependent on mobility through travel across national and international borders. However, we've not let that wane our enthusiasm at all. And we've looked at this and we've demonstrated resilience and looked at this looked at this challenge as an opportunity. And to answer your question, we pivoted very fast. And that comes, and is not related to this talk, but it comes with three things. You have to have a lot of mental energy, be positive, and communicate. So based on these three factors, we pivoted, putting our customer at the center of it, and our customers also our employee and all our stakeholders. It was on trust, being flexible, and driven by a surety of safety and hygiene. So keeping these in mind, there were two factors we focused on, because safety and hygiene is occupying everybody's mind space today. So you've heard of Tajness, which is the core of what we do, but we believe that to demonstrate our commitment to our customers and our guests, we have to follow the highest standards of safety and assurance. So we followed the guidelines of the government and re-energized our Tajness into Tajness, a commitment we strengthened without losing the core of warmth, then just being one sanitized company that is, again, doing what other hotel companies are doing. So that is one process, and we were working on contactless or zero touch service transformation. We just fast tracked that. So today, as we go into a lot of our hotels, we've got zero touch, contactless check-in, check-out, digital invoices, etc. So that's in the processes. And then we said, now how do we reach out to the customer? So we realized the customer has a need for safety and assurance. They want private spaces. They want to get out. How will they get out? So we introduced 2-3 experiences like 4D, which is dream, drive, discover, and delight. We were stuck on the third D, so we were pushed by our MD. I think there has to be a fourth dimension, and that was delight. And right in March, we started looking at how are people going to travel, and we felt driving will be the first thing, because people will want control over their experiences and the freedom of getting out into places which are safer havens. And then we realized that people will not be able to come to the hotels. So we said food will have to Taj will have to get into their homes. So on the 25th of July, with a very collaborative experience, with 3 other Tara companies, we launched Cumin. And I would encourage everybody to download the app, which is only active in Mumbai. But we did offline and online. So to the discussion earlier. So because I think what is the crux will be managing both. You can't just go one way, especially in a very high touch point business like ours. So I hope I've answered your question. Yes, we are going through a difficult time, but we don't like to get weighed down with that. We have to find new solutions to get to our customers.
And Renu, you did tell me earlier when we were chatting that you launched an app in a record time ever.
Yes, absolutely. So since May, and people were working like we are chatting right now, we were all bogged down that we need to meet, have meetings, launch something. But this was all done online with 3 different companies and internal people. And also the other thing I wanted to add, Human was launched by not the usual suspects in the hotel that we are used to. This is a completely young team, starting with the age group of 28, going up to 33. And they just launched it on record time with Tara Digital, TSMG, Indian Hotels. So, it was quite an experience, and we're really doing well right now. So we can look forward to having, and we went with the route of signature dishes, not just doing our food, so keeping our restaurants in the center of it all.
Yeah, wonderful. I always like to say this, that it's a time when both technology and human spirit have come together, to actually create solutions for mankind. I don't
Yes.
think it's just the solutions for the brands, and there is a lot of work happening elsewhere, which is not just travel tourism, but healthcare and financial services, which are very essential for our business. Manan, you head the data analytics, function at Ixigo, and you are therefore at the vantage point of having data on trains, buses, air travel, etc. Renu's painted a picture for us what's happening inside the hotels. But I want you to talk to us on what are the new trends that you are seeing emerging, and what is the data telling you?
Sure. First of all, thanks, Deepali. And I think when Mr. Modi announced the lockdown, we were all sort of shocked as to what just happened, because suddenly all travel, right? Air, train, buses, everything went to zero. And then luckily, the last the travel started resuming. And initially, there was a lot of pent-up demand, as you all know, right? There were people stuck at their either work locations, they wanted to go back home. We also started seeing a lot of migration from tier 1 to tier 2. So you have people moving from Mumbai to Varanasi, Mumbai to Lucknow, Delhi to Patna, and so on and so forth. And we also saw people moving from cities which had high COVID numbers back to their hometowns, because a lot of companies had given work from home. So people were just moving back to their hometowns and working from there. Interesting is now we are now started seeing signs of reverse migration. So now in the last couple of weeks, when I look at the top 10 flight sectors that are booked on a daily basis, 80% of them are from tier 2 to tier 1. So we now see sectors like Lucknow to Mumbai, Gorakhpur to Mumbai, Patna to Delhi. Mumbai. So these are some of the few sectors signaling that the reverse migration has started. People are now coming back to tier 1 cities as more and more workplaces have also started opening up. And we are seeing those early trends. And what has also happened is there has been an uptick in return. So initially, almost 99% of the travel, once the travel resumed, was just one-way travel that was happening. And now, while it is still far, the return trip percentage is still far from the early days. There has been a 3 to 4x jump. Now seeing around 3 to 4% of bookings are happening for return trips, signifying that people are now planning their and are going on short here and there, or otherwise. And if I talk about some numbers, when travel started, specifically for flights, we saw around 40K to 50K passengers flying on a daily basis. And we have been slowly, week on week, there has been a steady increase. And just a few days back, we actually touched 1 lakh passengers a day. Now, this is still far from the pre-COVID levels, where those were around almost 4 lakh daily passengers that used to fly. So we have recovered almost 25%. But I definitely foresee that with the upcoming festive season, October, November, I foresee around 40 to 50% recovery back to 2 lakh such numbers. And hopefully, Q1 next year, we should be fully back if everything sort of goes well. With respect to trains, there are only 200 trains running. There's thousands of trains that used to run. And anecdote there, this was the first time that Indian Railways had to stop their travel ever since they started. Even during the like Indo-China, Indo-Pak, Indian Railways never ever stopped their services. This was actually the first time that has happened in the history of Indian Railways. But yeah, I think we're seeing good jump in train volumes as well. A similar sort of a recovery, around 20% of the train volumes have sort of come back. What we also saw is there was a lot of ambiguity among travelers because each and every state was coming up with their own set of rules. So you had Mumbai saying, okay, you can't have more than 5 flights in a day. You need to go with a 7-day time. Then a week later, it becomes a 14-day home quarantine. Then you had Kolkata sort of just stopping flights from 6 cities with high COVID numbers. So there was this lot of anxiety that we saw, whether they were not even sure whether they will be able to travel or not. And then we realized, and as you know, right, most of the flights are, if you cancel the flights, you hardly get anything back. So we huddled up internally and a product called Ixigo Assured, which basically is non-refundable. You pay just 400 rupees extra, and the flight becomes fully refundable for you up to rupees 5,000. And now it was launched, I think, in a record time within 1 week of ideation, figuring out a partner that can help with us, getting out all the legal formalities, production, launching our apps with the required product flow in the booking process. And we have seen tremendous success with the product. Almost 40% of the flight bookings now are Ixigo. So it has really helped in sort of that confidence among our users where they can just cancel at the last moment and still get all their money back for whatever XYZ reasons. It's like a no questions asked return policy that they get.
Great, Manan. Great. I think that once again, like Renu's great story on, a quick pivot. Tarun, coming to you, you've got very interesting products in the personal care domain and you're selling them D2C. And you are a startup. The only thing, audience will want to learn from you is how to build experience at a low cost. And how do you build your data suite and MarTech and insights from it at a cost that your business can sustain? So Tarun, tell us more about that. And I don't know if your business has got impacted because of COVID, positively or negatively.
And so far, the recovery has been really encouraging for us. And thank you so much for inviting me in the panel. I'm more like a student on this panel, writing notes from all the seasoned, experienced people because I think it's an immensely enriching experience for me to be a part of this panel. Thank you so much. And coming back to the question, Deepali, I think we are a startup. Startup means agility, hustle, blood and sweat. We have raised very small quantums of external capital. And when we try to build anything from scratch, we try to build it in the justifiable cost, whether it's high or low, I don't know. It has to be the justifiable cost for that vertical. So when we try to build anything across mCaffeine, we are a digital only personal care brand. We are India's first caffeinated personal care brand. So we are very differentiated that way. But at the end of the day, it all boils down to building world-class product, world-class experience, right? Whenever we build it, we keep customer at the center of it. Be it we are building a body scrub and its texture, its fragrance, its packaging, to how it's being bought and the post-purchase experience. Just to give you a small example, I mean, we have this packaging, right? So our packaging is not a simple printed packaging. It has layers so that you can spend that extra 5 seconds when you pick up the box and you're still excited about the product to be opened and coming out and then fragrance. At every stage of the customer journey, we try to enhance the experience with the justifiable cost. And so far we are profitable, making decent amount of justifying all the margins we should be doing. So I think for us, it all boils down to keeping the customer at the center. I gave you the example of packaging, right? So we invested a lot of mental bandwidth to make sure that the customer's experience is enhanced at every point of time while they're experiencing the product. But it just does not stop there. I think it is not just a vertical, it's just not a department, it's the DNA of the company, the DNA of the brand. And it goes back to the technology we employ as well. So now we are working on a technology where if Deepali as a customer has a certain history with mCaffeine, comes back on our website second time, she and probably Manan might not see this exact similar website, which is largely a native app kind of tool, but we are trying to do it on the web and we are trying to enhance your experience. It's more like your time, your shop, that kind of story. So we're trying to stitch it all at the justifiable cost, trying to hustle it out. Let's see how we'll reach there. Everything boils down to, I think everything we do on the customer experience boils down to the data we collect, right? And in the internet age, everything is data. Your like is the data, your share is the data, your comment is the data. So we just don't look at data from a purchase angle, from a download angle, from a geographical angle. We look at the instance angle, wherein if you have a certain 30-second instance on my website, I will try to capture that instant and make sense out of it. So data is a very critical part of it because we believe we are a new way of building a brand in the country, the new revolution of D2C. And I'll give you a small example to kind of explain how data is critical, right? Not just the customer experience part or the purchase part or the analytics part with respect to business matrices. It is a very critical part in the product development as well. So at this point of time, I can build a model, and we have built sophisticated models to figure out of all the 10,000 shampoos being sold in India, what are the 3 characteristics which all the shampoos could never solve for? The larger conglomerates, the smaller startups. I can actually build a model to say that, okay, this is in the southern part of India, this is one concern everybody is facing, and none of the shampoos are kind of solved. Can we build it and back engineer the product to make sure that the concern is solved for? So we use data right from product development to the purchase angle, and again, trying to build it from bottom to top with the kind of resources we have. And so far, our largest team is data team. So we don't have creative engineers. We have more data engineers than creative engineers, I think.
Wow. I think that is the face of the new age marketing, Tarun, which is, everything being data led. A lot of the audiences have come in late, and I want to go back to Sunder. So I will summarize. I think Sunder opened by telling us that, voice and AI is going to be very important. Renu shared with us how they launched a, app in record time at Taj Hotels, and, how safety is a critical concern, but how human spirit and technology played a role in, the pivot that they've done. And Manan, you shared interesting data, and you're actually trying to tell us that the audiences are back traveling, may not be to the older levels, but even 25% back is good news for me to hear. And Tarun, people are buying mCaffeine products, coffee-based personal care products, and it's glad to hear that this new term that you use, which is justifiable cost. I think that I'm adding that to my vocabulary. Instead of saying low cost, I think justifiable cost is a better way of putting it for startups. So I'm coming back to you and saying that you heard 3 different kinds of businesses, all in different stages of how they're coping with COVID. Startup to an e-commerce company to an established business. What are your observations and what's your advice to them? Because you are at Adobe, where the marketing suite and marketing cloud that you propose to everybody in the country, literally.
Yeah, thanks, Deepali. We couldn't have had 3 more different narrations, but we couldn't have had 3 very, very similar narrations. So there were a lot of things in common. I think one, all of them are dealing with a phygital reality. There's a physical part of it and there's a digital part of it. Even Manan obviously has to see a physical manifestation of a lot of things happen before he can take it at a platform, and that's something that he's aware of. And that sort of manifests in the form of an app for Renu. It looks like a customized offering for Tarun. He looks at it for someone else. It could be more of understanding of data. The other thing I'm observing is that everybody is expecting a pent up demand to come out in some format. And I think that's a very realistic expectation. I think all these days we couldn't have said it with some kind of an authenticity, but today we are able to say it. Um, and I'll talk about one common trend, but which is differentiate. I think as brands, all three of them are looking at how they can still differentiate themselves. And it's an opportunity to look at themselves differently. Somebody wants to open up first, somebody wants to think about creating product from the data that they're getting it. And Manan wants to look at more trends and sub trends and micro segment, if I may use the word, to ensure that he succeeds. So from that point of view, it's fantastic. Um, the only thing I would like to sort of think about is what I said earlier, that I think the boundaries between marketing and customer experience are blurring very, very, very fast. And by the end of this COVID situation, I think it'll be one unified thought which will get everybody. So this will be the last time we will have a session probably which is talking about marketing and customer experience. Will be unified. The only advice, or advice is too big a word. All three are very illustrious people, and so are many people in the audience. The pattern that we're seeing repeatedly is the fact that today, looking at the importance of customer experience and the amount of data and the pivoting that you have to do is so significant, right? That your expectations of what your platform, your technology can deliver is at an all-time,
Yes.
which means that you need very trusted partners.
Yes.
So I talked about 8,000 MarTech companies being there in this year, and the agency which actually collates all of this has now declared that they will stop counting because they're a little lost.
Yes.
What does it show? It shows also that there is a FOMO, there's a fear of missing out amongst marketers to say, look, I don't want to give up on any trend. I want to do something everywhere. Which is why I'm doing that, you end up probably doing a lot of things and spreading your resources very quickly.
So
it's
focus.
to go, with something that is future ready,
Yeah.
something that has got all the paradigms of machine learning, AI embedded in it.
Yeah.
And very importantly, it's resilient to stand the test of time, because going forward, this will be pressure tested even more.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thank you, Sunder, for that. And yeah, while we're doing future gazing, I think that's the questions that I want to ask, to Renu, Tarun also very quickly. But Manan, just before that, I want you also to tell us, you shared a lot of data with us earlier. During COVID time, how did you keep your customers engaged? That's a question that I am always asking marketers and people in various organizations. Before I go to Renu and Tarun and ask them about the future.
As soon as the lockdown hit us, right, we saw a significant fall in our deal across all our platforms. We have 2 apps, website, and everywhere we saw there was a significant fall because people suddenly, we don't need to open up our app, right? There was no use case that's left for our app. And then we started figuring out, okay, what else can we do? What else can we put in our app that will make people come back, and we just don't want to let all our acquired over the year. And then we did a lot of partnerships. We launched a COVID on the app, which for 2 months was the most used feature on our app. So because everyone was looking at, right, states are going, how is their city trending, number of new that's coming here and there. So we launched that. And then we also launched side products related to that, right? We tied up with the insurance company to give out the COVID insurance. We launched e-newspapers as more and more people ditched their physical newspapers within our app. We tied up with MobiKwik for recharges and bill payment. The sudden online education. So we tied up with Udemy for online courses. So Record sort of went ahead, did all these partnerships, put them live on our app, and sort of use them to at least get some of the users back to our app and for them to transact once again on our platform.
Yeah.
And we are lucky to have a very kick-ass content marketing team within
Yes,
Ixigo.
I know that. I know your content marketing team very well, Ashish Chopra. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. They churned out some amazing videos which went viral during the lockdown period. With videos as simple as make a mask at home, We had a Mala video. We had a video done on COVID years. And
Yes. Manan, we know. So I'm going to move on. Sorry, in aid of time. You guys, I know, did a brilliant job there. And, that brings me to another, learning for the audience, which is that, involving your ecosystem is going to be key. And that's extremely important. Renu, with that, I just want to ask you, what do you think is the business model of the future? You've spent 3 decades in the same industry. Will MICE survive? Will domestic tourism take over international tourism? Just some pearls of wisdom from you.
Okay, I just want to add to what Manan said, but customer engagement is very critical. We started it on the 16th of March, just being engaged, and all our engagements on social media went up because there was no question of transactions. We were not looking for transactions. We were looking at engagement. And I'm sure you're all aware that, we reached out to the community by supporting the doctors, and, we did it very intuitively without any financial goal in mind. So I think being engaged with your customers is extremely critical, and all your other stakeholders as well. Now, talking about the future, it is, the current is muted, but like he mentioned, that there is a lot of pent up demand. So we look at 4D, the kind of responses we've got, especially from the metro cities, people going to say in Udaipur, from Gujarat, or from Bombay to Nasik, or from Bangalore to Coorg, or from Delhi to Jaipur, Udaipur, Rishikesh. So there's a huge pent up demand because people's holidays have got marred from the month of March. We were going into Easter, then from Easter, we were going to the summer holidays. And, in India, people tend to go abroad. 50 million tourists go for international travel, and that is our biggest opportunity, because, and we've really captured that. And the first thing that we did was driving, and I know driving has become every hotel company's go-to market strategy, but I can honestly tell you that we started the work on the 16th of March. And even international business, like you say, weddings. See, weddings is very inherent to our culture, so that will continue. The size will differ, but it will come back. And domestic is the way to go because we have such a diverse country with all the regions. So we created a campaign called Find Your India. Like I told you about 4D, that was launched in record time. So we have all our ducks lined in the row. Then, of course, urban getaways. And before we launched the Cumin app, what I forgot to mention was we said taking the food home to customers' home. We launched hospitality at home, which was again an offline thing, but it's got, and now we're going to be launching 2.0 for that. And talking about the festival season, people are already traveling. I mean, forget India. I'm finding people who are going off to London. They don't mind doing 14-day quarantine there. People are waiting to get to R51 Buckingham Gate in London. And also, going back to Cumin, engagement of our chefs is very critical in this journey of changing the business model. The business people will definitely travel. We are social animals, but it'll have people are waiting and watching on how the vaccination impact is coming up. But I have to tell you, the younger people have started traveling because they've, and of course, the way we engage with our customers, they'll want assurances. So we are a flexible cancellation policy. So that built a lot of trust and faith for our brand. And what is going to work is, I do believe that the Indian brands, as a nationalistic fervor in the country, the Indian brands are going to dominate. Trusted brands are going to do really well because people know that they can go back. So we have a huge demand for weddings. We are about 85% of our lead generation of last year. Of course, the weddings are smaller, and people are getting married, but they'll have their reception later. MICE is going to be it's going to be again tech and human, because the human touch cannot be replaced. So in the short term, yes, it's going to change, but not for too long.
Yeah, I agree. So we've got about 5 minutes left, Tarun, before I ask a question to you and then I do a wrap up. Let me see if we can solve audience questions or not. Otherwise, I'm at least available on Twitter to everyone, and my handle is Deepali Naair, Naair spelled with a double A. So, Tarun, your industry, personal care. I want you to talk a little bit more on distribution and the pricing aspect. The demand is there. I don't think the demand's going away for the personal care products. What's happening on the distribution and pricing front on account of COVID, and where is the future?
Right. So I think distribution and supply costs have obviously gone up. There is one part of the supply which was obviously coming from, was not coming from India, and that has certainly moved up. But the supply which was domestically being served, has also moved up because of the tremendous amount of uncertainty on the logistics side and the demand side, right? So we have faced this issue, but at the end of the day, we have not transferred that cost to the customer. We have always believed that our product was priced for the customer in a mind frame where the customer wants to purchase that product and consume that product with the right value. So any sort of this turbulence at the supply end, we have not transferred. So the pricing is exactly similar to the pre-COVID area, but distribution and supply has really gone up. I think it will normalize as soon as we have certainty. The moment I have certainty of the travel, I can plan things better. It was more towards the uncertainty part. Now we are seeing things being normalized in some pockets of India, but probably in the quarter 4, we are expecting that things should be normalized and certain of in the whatever cost bracket they will fall into.
Yeah. I think the end consumer is facing a higher landed cost for sure, both on food as well as on personal care products. We're seeing that the discounts are also a little lesser. We've all been used to them. I before I take on a question from the audience, I just want to say this, that I think there are two things that everybody should take note of from all the stuff that got said today. That one is marketers are at the helm of not just marketing. The business exigencies are driving a lot of the customer experience in martech and data decisions. This is a great time to learn and pivot and experiment, and that the world of future may not be similar to what we have today. And when I'm asked, I summarize it in my formula of 3 A's. I say that the brands need to be authentic, so marketers need to be very authentic. People are very forgiving just now, and let's take advantage of that. The second is that we need to be agile, so that's the second A, and all of you exhibited that. I think the examples that you gave absolutely spoke about agility that brands are demonstrating. And third is what I call ability. This is the time to add skills. So Tarun spoke about how they have more data people than any other tribe of people inside their organization. I think when it comes to supply, for example, larger enterprises need to focus on how they look at their manufacturing. We're calling it industry 4.0 inside IBM, and newer models, and advent of technologies. Every marketer on the panel who's watching today, my recommendation to them would be that if you want to be a marketer of the future, get to learn more about edge computing, get to learn more about blockchain, and get to know more about AI. And Sunder already said that that's going to be like salt in food, and be very focused on the ecosystem. We have 2 minutes, and there are two questions that Shivani's put out over here. And Tarun, I'm going to ask you this question. Has there been a change in the media mix, and do you see this trend to continue? I'm going to say yes. I think all of us are going to say yes, the media mix has changed. But I think the critical question here is, do you see this trend to continue absolutely the way it is?
I think for us, we are an online only brand. So for us, the gamut of media universe was always online. So that has largely remained the same. It has not changed for us because there was no offline spends which was happening. I think it's going to continue to be the same. The Facebook is Facebook for us. There are CPCs which are being rolled down, but Facebooks and Googles of the world is not going to go away. That's where the majority of the spends for D2C brand lies. So for us, it has been the ratio has been the same. The quantum has come down drastically.
Yeah. So very good. So your ratio has remained the same. Quantum has come down at IBM. I can tell you that the ratio has changed. It may not go back to where the normal used to be earlier, but it is not going to remain what it is today either. And I think that's probably true for a lot of marketers who I talk to on a very often basis. The second question, and anybody can tell me if you want to do this. This is the last 1 minute. Digital marketing has become, important due to pandemic. And should brands try to enhance the customer experience through complete online interactions only? I mean, the short answer is yes. But
No.
and I think Renu, all the examples that you gave of what Taj did, have it. But Renu, any thoughts there if you want to
Yeah,
answer?
I think you have to combine both in businesses that require it. Some business may not, but people want online and offline. People want that voice. They want to be connected. So I think it's very important. And you know what? I just want to add to your fourth A is people want assurances, and
Yes.
marketers have to give assurances. So that's why by mistake it went privately to you, because we are finding people are willing to pay a premium to be at a brand that they trust, that provides them with assurance or whatever they are doing, because they can't go back to a shop today. They're stuck. I mean, so that's very critical. I just want to add that.
Yeah.
And
So
digital is here for to stay. And on McKinsey's study, like I don't know whether I mentioned it, but we pole vaulted 5 years to 6 weeks to adapt to technology, and in all our businesses have seen it.
yeah, so technology adoption is the key, and authenticity, agility, ability, and assurance, like Renu said. Thank you very much, Manan, Tarun, Sundar, Renu. It was an absolute pleasure talking to all of you, and I hope the audiences take back a lot of value from this. Thank you, IMAI team. I hand it back to you guys.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Naair. Thank you, everyone, for this interesting session. I would like to take this opportunity to thank our powered by sponsor Z5, our gold partners Infobip, Financial Express, Brandwagon, Flipkart, and Jagra New Media. I would also request everyone to take out some time to visit our exhibitors and check out their offerings. We are signing off. Thank you so much.